if you feel like you're not good enough and you're always on this treadmill trying to prove yourself, and the things that people say to you bother you and it makes you feel anxious or it makes you feel resentful, then this is a podcast that you're going to love, because we're going to dive into the number one thing you can do to change your relationship with yourself, to change how you feel and stop people pleasing. If people pleasing has become a norm and you feel like you need the acknowledgement just so that you can feel as though you've done it right, and you're always getting people to check what you do, then you're going to love this, because this will show you how you can stop that. In this episode, I want to teach you something that is so foundational that it will change your life. All you have to do is learn what it means, understand it, apply it, and then run with it and practice it. And if you do that, you're going to love your life. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast, folk. We are diving into something of a really important topic. It's such an important topic because most of us, we struggle with this at some point in our lives, and some of us, we struggle with this for most of our lives. And I wanted to address this because in my journey as a coach and a therapist and a mentor, helping my clients, my students to go through life transformation, we don't belittle what it means to actually transform life. I mean, our premise for this is, the verse of Surah Al-Ra'd where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah will not change the condition of the people until they change their own condition. And that's essentially the ethos and the foundation of everything that we do. I want to help you to empower yourself to create a level of change within yourself that you could see that change in your life coming out in your relationships, in your mental, emotional health, in your ability to show up in life and really be the best that you can be. So one of my goals is to help you to become this powerful version of yourself. And a powerful version of yourself is really the default state that we would be if we were really optimizing our lives with this science. And the science of the Nafs, what we do is that we use revelation to optimize our mind, our emotions, and that's the doorway to the rest of your life. So the key to really getting the most out of your life is that you got to get the most out of yourself. And that doesn't mean that you're overworking, you're overdoing, and you're forever doing all of these things that we do and then we burn out. Because I know that, of course, I deal with burnout. It's one of the main things that my clients bring to me. And it's because they're such hardworking people. They are so driven to create in their lives. And, for many of us, we are so ambitious and we want to create those results, but we get caught in something that's hidden from us and we don't realize it's actually holding us back. And that's something that most people struggle with. They just don't realize it until they hit this glass ceiling. And the glass ceiling feels like, or looks like in your life, like, you're doing everything you can do, and for some reason you can't get any further than you've already got to in your life. Maybe it's in the state of your mind. You're always having these low mood moments, and you wake up into anxiety or wake up into overwhelm, and you don't understand why it's happening. And sometimes what it looks like is that you're doing the best you can to live your best life, raise your family, like have the relationships that you have with your spouse, your husband, and your wife. And what's happening is that you keep having conflict, and in the back of your mind you're thinking, like, there is a problem here and I don't know what it is, but it's either her or him or it's me. And we're usually blaming others, and we're not blaming ourselves. And sometimes some of us, what we do is that we do both, or we blame ourselves and we really dig down on ourselves. And sometimes there's a lot of reactiveness and explosive anger, or like you just cut off from people. You cut off from people. You don't want to talk to people. You cut people down. You shut down. And when that happens, we get into these behaviors that keep us distracted. Sometimes, and it seems very productive. Like you think you're being productive, and you're doing a lot of work. You're doing a lot of projects. You are running multiple things in your life, and it seems like you're being productive. But what it leads to is burnout. What it leads to is that you're forever on this treadmill and you can't figure out why you can't get off the treadmill, even though you have all the achievements or you do all the things and you live in your life like you planned it, but you're unable to get that feeling of, it's ever enough. And very often what that comes back down to is the one human problem that all of us have, which is that we have mind and emotional fluctuations, meaning that you have 1 minute you're positive, next minute you're negative, and you're forever fluctuating between the two. And with that fluctuates your moods, fluctuates the way that you show up in your relationships or in your workplace or how you lead. And ultimately it impacts or impedes on the growth that you really want. And you're unable to achieve your potential because you're being held back by something of a hidden force. What is that hidden force? It is the self confidence, or it's not even confidence, but it's the beliefs that we have about ourselves, right? It's the thoughts, the negative thoughts that we have about ourselves, the negative perception of ourselves. And it's so negative. Some of these things, we don't like them, and we don't like these things about ourselves. And I speak from experience, not just experience with my clients, but, dealing with my own demons, my own challenges. When you're doing this, what happens is that you're forever on this, I want to improve, self-improvement. I want to become a better person. I want to be, I want to be a muttaqi. I want to be someone who is, has more taqwa, has more reliance. And then you beat yourself up for not having that taqwa. You beat yourself up for not having that reliance. You give yourself a hard time because you keep, acting out when you don't want to, and you regret your behaviors, and it causes a problem. There is powerful change that you can really implement into your life, and it will totally change your norm. Your norm may be that you're going for so long until things go wrong and then you explode. Or your norm may be that you 1 minute you're on, 1 minute you're off. And you find that this way of living makes you very unproductive, or makes you feel as though you're never good enough. And that is one of the core beliefs that we struggle with, that there is something intrinsically wrong with me because I can't seem to do this right or that right. Everyone else seems to be able to do it. And what I'm doing is that I'm forever looking for acknowledgement from other people, or I need, them to show me the love or show me that they care. And if I don't receive that by way of a phone call or a text message, or by way of people responding to me or calling out for me, if people don't come out looking for me, in my mind I'm thinking what's going on here? And what it does is that it actually compounds the original problem, which is that I myself, I am not believing in myself in the positive. And what I mean by that is that I believe that there's something wrong with me, because maybe I can't control my temper, or because I'm always anxious, or maybe because I'm always thinking negative, and I don't understand why is this happening, right? And so what happens with this, and I see this with all of my clients, as they're going through their journey of changing their mind, their emotions, their behaviors, what they find is that the biggest obstacle in their path, and that is for the most of us, not most of us, all of us, that is the case. The biggest obstacle for most of us, I repeat, all of us, is that we stand in our own way. When I say we, what is it about we that is stopping you from what you want in your life? What is it about you that's stopping you from your own life? What it is ultimately is the perception that you have of yourself, the beliefs that you have about yourself. And this is a human struggle. This is why Allah says, He will not change the condition of the people until they change themselves, which means that you and I, we can do that, right? So that means that if you are focused enough on this and you're willing to change it, and you do change it, then what you will find is you will no longer need acknowledgement from the people. You no longer need, your husband or your wife to like always tell you they love you, or always make you feel good. You will no longer need your children to behave a certain way for you to think that, I'm a good parent, I'm trying my best. Like, you won't think that your circumstances determine like whether or not you're good enough, because ultimately what happens as a result of this is that you believe that you're not good enough. And when you believe that you're not good enough, no matter what you do, no matter how many achievements you have, no matter how many business successes or accolades, qualifications, or whatever it is you think you need to have, whether it be, where you live, whether it be the person you're married to, whether it be, how your kids are, like, you will never need for something outside of you to make you believe that something inside of you is good. Because the default for us all is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us in the best of forms. Now, if your creator created you with the best of forms and you're not feeling good, like, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that there's a mental and emotional, issue there that needs to be resolved. And you can change your mind and emotions. That's fundamentals of the science of the Nafs, is that we use it to change our mind and our emotions so that we can create the life that we want. Now, what this requires, and this is something that I dive into in coach training and the certification, with what I take my students through in order to get the transformations, in order to get the life that they want, is that what we have to do, and which is the reason I'm talking about, is what I want to share with you today, is this one concept that I recently spoke to one of my clients about, which is radical self-acceptance. Right? Radical self-acceptance, like radical literally meaning that, at the level of, your core, at the level of your core, the way that you are, your very nature, like, it changes. And the change comes from self-acceptance, right? So it has to be this radical self-acceptance. It has to be a self-acceptance that changes the very core of you, because, and when we say the core of you, what we're talking about is the beliefs that you have, the perception that you have, the state of mind that you have. And this will determine how you feel about yourself, about your life. And when you feel good about this, when you feel good about your life, then what will happen is that you will not need to people please. You won't need to have others love you just so that you can accept yourself and love yourself. Like, you will find that you feel good no matter what the circumstance gives you from the outside. You will be good no matter what, right? So this requires a level of acceptance of yourself, which requires for you to change the way that you think and feel. Because if you changed, I want you to just think about this, like, what would happen in your life? What would really, what would be the impact in your life if you had this radical self-acceptance? Like, and I'm not saying that you should not try and improve yourself and you should not work on becoming the best that you can be. Like, we're in a state of, perpetual growth. And when we go through this process with the science of the Nafs, like, we're forever growing. And my students always tell me, year in, year out, they're growing. And why is that the case? Because, like, we're on a journey. And in this journey, it's like the journey of your heart, your mind, through this life, and it's accompanied by the companionship of, the Quranic sciences, right? And we're talking about the Quranic science of the Nafs. And this is the application. This isn't the theory of it. This isn't the extracting of information or knowledge, but it's the application of it so that it actually nurtures you. This is why it's radical self, because radical self-acceptance means that, when you accept yourself at that level, what that does is that it makes you relieved of the pressure of having to always fix yourself and look for something to make you better. Like, we are on a perpetual state of growth. That growth does not require for you to fix yourself. That growth is the growth of, it's the growth of beauty. Like, when you plant a seed and it grows, it doesn't need to grow. Sometimes they don't grow, but the seed that grows, it grows and it flourishes and it sprouts, and eventually when it becomes its fully formed self, the flower, the end product, like the beauty of it comes out. Now, I'm not saying you got to wait until the end product to have the beauty of your life. I'm saying that at every given moment, when you have this radical self-acceptance, like what will happen is that you're not going to be devastated by, someone else accepting or rejecting you. You're not going to be devastated by someone else's comments about you. You're not going to be super sensitive when people say stuff. You're not going to need to defend yourself, because your acceptance of yourself is ultimately the acceptance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you in the best of forms. And when you do that, you step into your ultimate power. This is what makes us really powerful. We become so powerful because we become this happy, content person, this new version of us. And it's not like you need to get rid of the old. It's just about becoming like the best that you can be. And that happens like through maturity. And the maturity we're talking about here is not the maturity of years, but the maturity of your heart. When your heart is nurtured upon these verses, this revelation, this science, like what will happen is that you start to change. Your emotional state changes. You stop getting anxious or sad or frustrated and angry about things that you don't have to be. And ultimately what that does is that it gives you freedom from the world. And that allows us to become the most powerful versions of ourselves. Because when we become the most powerful versions of ourselves, and listen, folk, I'm sharing this with you because, very often, I'm coaching my clients on this. I'm coaching my clients on it. I'm training my students on this. And it is one of the most fundamental life liberating, freeing things that you could do if you did this for yourself, because no one can force it upon you. Like if you did this for yourself, what would happen is that your life would change. Wallahi, this alone would change your life. You would feel free from the pressures of life and competing with everyone else. You wouldn't need to be like other people. You would begin to become confident. That confidence would be a solid confidence. It would not be a confidence of, like what they say about the whole fake it or till you make it. Like it wouldn't be that type of confidence. And you wouldn't need the love of others to be loved. You would automatically feel loved, because when you come from this place of, radical self-acceptance, what will happen is that you bridge the gap between, who you are, insecure, like lacking in, self-belief, and you would bridge that gap and you'd cross the bridge to who you are, secure, content, and connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, connected to yourself, and not in need of others to, give you validation or give you love or, acknowledge you or do anything for you to be okay. And it's not to mean that we live our lives despite people. No, we are connected. From this place of strength, now your new position of strength, what would happen is that you all of a sudden learn to have beautiful relationships with people without having all these expectations on them or on you. And what that would do for you is that it would make you like very powerful. It would make you sought after. People would want to be around you. And listen, if you're thinking, oh, listen, I need to figure this thing out so that people can be around me. No, you need to be around you. You need to be around you. When you become like happy and content in and of yourself, it doesn't mean that we disconnect from the people, but what it means is that we're able to connect with people from a place of security, from a place of I'm good. And when you connect with people from that place and you build relationships, you parent from that place, you do business from that place, you are never in need of anything from outside of you or from those people, but you just show up in this form, in the form of, total contentment with who you are, and building on that by growing your relationship with Allah, because ultimately that is the relationship of security. right? That is the relationship that gives you consistency. That's the relationship that will give you the ability to flourish in life no matter what happens in your circumstances. And when you do that, you're going to love your life. You're going to love your life. You're going to love it so much because this is how you become someone who is contented with your life no matter where you are. No matter where you are. Which means that your baseline is something, if this is your baseline, you can just grow and grow and grow. And the more you do that, the bigger impact you have on your own life, the bigger impact you have on the lives of others. Like, I train coaches, I train leaders, I train people to become the best that they can be. And we do this for one reason, like to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and help the people. And ultimately, we are the beneficiaries. We become the people that live our best lives. And so if you are someone who is really like wanting to become powerful in and of yourself, like truly become a leader of your mind, your life, leader in your family, leader in your community, then radical self-acceptance is something that you have to nurture into your life. And when you do, you will become someone who truly is powerful right from the offset. And that makes you the person that can create like serious stuff in the world, like serious legacy, like really impact the lives of, people, really create change, create legacy, make impact, make money, build business. You could do all of the things that you want to do, but you need this beginning. And look, it's not to say that people don't build businesses and empires without this, but I can tell you that the people that do it without this, they struggle all the way through their journey. And it's not to say that we shouldn't have obstacles in our journey. It doesn't mean that you're going to live a euphoric life once you do this. What it means is that you live the best life. You live the best life. And when you live the best life, your companion in life is always going to be the one that sustains you always. And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anyway, folks, I want to leave you on that. And if you want to take this further, then just think about one thing that you can take from this lesson and apply it immediately. If there's one thing I would say is that I would, on a daily basis, I would remind myself that Allah is the one that is taking care of my affairs, and He created me perfectly. He created you perfectly. That means that if you are willing to believe that, and you're willing to take that to the next step and really, truly believe in yourself, you will love your life. And inshallah, I'm going to leave you on that. Jazakumullah khair. I'll see you in the next session. Assalamu alaikum. Hey guys, thanks for listening in on this podcast. If you are ready to uplevel your mind, emotions, and relationships using a Quranic solution, you're going to love this podcast and what we are going to be sharing over the coming episodes. This is the most fundamental training that you're going to go through in your life. You can use it to transform your life, your mental and emotional health, your relationships, how you parent, how you are in your marriage, and truly your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are loving this and you want more of it, click subscribe. Or if you want one of our free trainings, go to themuslimlifecoach.org and sign up for the free training. You're going to love it. I'll see you on the inside. Jazakumullah khair.